Tron and Return of the Jedi, they're two sci-fi classics released in the early 80s, following relatable characters, Kevin Flynn and Luke Skywalker. These movies would see our heroes overcome the odds and complete their journey, both being reunited with their friends in the end, having gained a new power, and looking forward to what some would call a hopeful future. We could have never guessed where they'd be 30 years later. Welcome to the channel. I'm Joe with Jar Jar Jargon. If this is your first time, hit subscribe. When we hit 3,000, we're going to be doing a merch giveaway. I recently found myself rewatching Tron Legacy, and this is a movie that I actually enjoy quite a bit. But on this rewatch, I noticed there's a lot of parallels between this movie and The Last Jedi, which is one of the legacy sequels of the Star Wars saga. And for those of you who have been to my channel before, you know I'm not a big fan of The Last Jedi, particularly the direction they took Luke Skywalker in. So I started wondering, why does Kevin Flynn work as a dejected and outcast hero, but not Luke Skywalker? Is it because we spent 3 movies with Luke and only 1 with Kevin? Sure, possibly. But there has to be more to why one works and not the other. On the surface, these stories are very similar. Both Flynn and Skywalker are using their newfound power to build an order from the ground up, only to later, of course, be betrayed by an apprentice that is very close to them. Of course, these apprentices go on to destroy everything that our heroes have built, and ultimately leaving them sad and dejected, isolated away from everyone that they know and love. But finally, they're given one final hero's act, the ultimate sacrifice, and of course they give their lives for those they love and save the day. But even outside the stories of Kevin Flynn and Luke Skywalker, these movies actually share quite a bit of similarities. They're both legacy sequels, they have amazing cinematography, visual effects, kind of on the cutting edge of what this technology was doing at the time. They have incredible scores, they have new young casts that are hopefully going to usher in a new age for these franchises. So ultimately, why does one work and not the other? Well, I think it comes down to the vision of the storyteller. Joseph Kosinski is no stranger to legacy sequels. He's already done Top Gun and Tron, and he's trying to bat 3 for 3 this summer with Twisters. And then, of course, we have Rian Johnson, known for, subverting expectations.
This is not going to go the way you think.
If you try and reintroduce a character like Luke Skywalker back into pop culture 30 years later, there's going to be a lot of expectations with that. And expectations are going to vary from person to person based on their original experience.
When you take a beloved character from anything and you've seen the character grow up, you've grown up with the character, you know the character, we have opinions about the character. If you fundamentally change that character between stories, if you fundamentally change that character off screen, then at that point you invite people to disagree with you.
Let's take a look at Flynn, for instance. He is very brilliant but irresponsible, willing to consistently try and hack into the MCP just to prove a point. And we see this brashness with Kevin throughout the movie. He's actually able to convince his friends Alan and Laura to help him break into the MCOM building so he can attack the MCP from the inside. So you do have to wonder what happens when a character whose tendencies are to not play within the rules is given power of a CEO in one world and basically the power of a deity in another. And lucky for us, Tron Legacy really tries to capture the time period in which we missed. There's a lot of flashbacks throughout the movie, even beginning the movie with the one you see on screen now. We learn that he's become CEO. We learn that he's working on something great that he believes is going to change the world before ultimately disappearing. Now, those who had seen the original movie pretty much knew immediately he was in the grid, but of course we didn't know if this was by design or if he was stuck there. We also learned some other key points of information during this footage. We learned that his best friend Alan has basically been ousted from the board of the company. We also learned that he has a son. So not even 10 minutes into the movie, you can see that the seeds are being planted. We're given a lot of context around what Flynn's been up to so that we're not completely lost or thrown off when we finally catch up to him later in the story. And parallel this to Luke Skywalker, even the flashbacks we get seem to be somewhat out of character.
It passed like a fleeting shadow, and I was left with shame.
I always see this scene in Last Jedi with Ben Solo compared to the scene in Return of the Jedi where Luke is clearly giving into the dark side for a moment, kind of ready to give the final blow to Darth Vader before it does pass like a fleeting shadow and he shuts down his lightsaber. And these scenes absolutely do echo each other until you start to look at what comes after.
No, you're coming with me. I'll not leave you here. I've got to save you.
Even after his fleeting moment of weakness, Luke is still trying to save his father, who is one of the most evil people in the galaxy.
Did you come back to say you forgive me? To save my soul?
No.
It's no wonder people see a different Luke Skywalker when they watch The Last Jedi. Even Flynn was able to recognize his flaws and admit to the mistakes he made with his apprentice.
You promised that we would change the world together. You broke your promise. I know. I understand that now. I took the system to its maximum potential. I created the perfect system. The thing about perfection is that it's unknowable. It's impossible, but it's also right in front of us all the time. You wouldn't know that because I didn't when I created you. I'm sorry, Flynn. I'm sorry.
Let the past die. Kill it, if you have to.
Rian Johnson was very outspoken about creating a movie that was new with fresh ideas, but the problem is if you're creating a movie in an existing franchise, you still have to honor what came before it. You can't simply erase it all. Of course, as fans, we expect to see some changes, especially in the way of visual enhancements. A lot has changed in 30 years. And just like these legacy characters that are returning from the original films, a lot has probably changed in their lives. But I think a lot of us are expecting to see them grow. And those that didn't grow will hopefully grow within the new film, just like we see in Top Gun Maverick. Deconstructing a known character just to prop up your own story does a disservice to the existing audience. And sadly, the treatment of these characters is not the only disservice The Last Jedi does. Take a look at these wildly different exposition dumps we get from the movies.
They were spectacular. Everything I'd hoped to find in the system. Control, order, perfection. None of it meant a thing. I've been living in a hall of mirrors. The ISOs shattered it. The possibilities of their root code, their digital DNA, disease, history, science, philosophy, every idea man has ever had about the universe up for grabs. Biodigital jazz, man. The ISOs, they were gonna be my gift to the world.
So what happened?
Clue happened.
Master Skywalker, we need you to bring the Jedi back because Kylo Ren is strong with the dark side of the Force. Without the Jedi, we won't stand a chance against him.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around why these lines exist. Both Luke and the audience are aware that Kylo Ren is strong with the dark side of the Force and that he's a threat to the Resistance. The movie consistently treats its audience as children, and before you tell me it's a children's movie, Tron Legacy is rated PG. It doesn't have a scene that even comes close to as bad as these.
Leia has an urgent message for him.
I believe he's tooling with you, sir.
About his mother.
Then of course we have the completely useless side plot that serves no actual point to the story, besides providing the director's commentary on capitalism. Ironic, considering the franchise of the movie and the company that's producing it. I wholeheartedly believe hiring Rian Johnson was the biggest mistake this franchise has ever made. I can't help but think about what these movies would have looked like if Kaczynski was given the helm, but I guess we'll never know.